Hello, abundant empath community. Welcome to today's live. Welcome if you are new here. If you are new here, drop something in the comments, say hello, drop a heart, drop a hello, let us know where you're from. We want to welcome you with open arms into this beautiful, vibrant, abundant empath community. The second thing I want to know is astrology, right? Is astrology something that is new for you? I'd love to hear from you if this is kind of your first time opening up to this concept of astrology. In today's live video, we are going to be talking about, I'm going to share a very personal story, probably more than I've shared bits and pieces, but more than what I've shared before. And today's video is about how astrology truly saved my life. I believe in many ways, right? I felt like I was going down a path that wasn't really meant to be my life. And astrology is part of probably the biggest thing that brought me back to center again. So we're going to talk about that today and how I believe astrology can really, truly change your life and why I believe it is essential for every single empath to at least have a basic understanding of astrology at a minimum. But what we're going to be talking about today is actually how to integrate astrology into your life in terms of understanding what we call your birth chart or your natal chart, but also talking about things like transits or the moon cycles. You're probably familiar with new and full moons. We'll talk a little bit about all that today. I'm going to get to your questions, but what I do want to share, and the reason I'm so passionate about this, right, is because this truly did change my life, save my life, if you will. So my journey with astrology, I'm going to actually back up about a year prior to me getting into astrology. And this is going to fill in some of the gaps on that video that reel I shared the other day on the journey that I went on starting in about 2017. So back up, right, 2016. I'm living in Houston, Texas. I am like climbing. If you're a Capricorn, you'll get this. I'm a Capricorn moon. It's very driven, very business focused, very achievement focused, very goal oriented. So I don't know I'm a Capricorn moon at this time, but I am like living it up, right? I am climbing the corporate ladder, doing everything that I can, have my sights set on the top. I want to be a vice president someday. I want to be a director someday. At the time, I think I had just made like manager in my company, and that was like a super big deal for me, right? But suddenly, suddenly things started to shift inside of me. And I've heard from so many people since we've all been going through this pandemic that they've been going through something similar, this kind of shifting thing. And it was like the things that I thought were fulfilling, suddenly they weren't. And suddenly that path that I had laid out for me, which was climb to the top of the corporate ladder, make money, fall in love, like all the things, suddenly I was like, well, I don't know. It wasn't even an I don't know. I remember very specifically, right? I have so much respect. I said this in my post the other day for the women who were like at the top, right? Who had climbed their way to the top and who were in leadership positions, so much respect. But I also recognized that from my perception at the time, that would have required sacrifices that I didn't want to make. And I felt myself, the more that I climbed, the more I felt I was losing myself. And I remember thinking to myself, like, sitting in meetings or showing up or leading people, and it was like there was a part of myself that I felt like I couldn't show in that environment. And honestly, it was a part of myself that I didn't even really know yet at the time, right? I'm an Aquarius sun, which means we are eclectic, we are kind of out there, we're meant to go our own way. I didn't know that. I was not living an Aquarius sun's path in life. And so that's what I mean when I say, like, astrology saved my life, because it helped me to understand these things about myself that I was maybe in denial on, or wasn't aware of, or wasn't accepting about myself. And that is what I hear from so many clients. Like, there's one client I can think of in particular who, she's a Leo, and ever since realizing she's a Leo, she's stepped into, Leo is the queen, the goddess energy. She has stepped into and embodied that, and it like lit something up within her. And that is what I love to do when I talk, again, not just about sharing astrology or a reading with clients, but truly, as we do in my Abundant Empath program, integrating astrology into your life. Okay, so this is where I am, right? And things start to kind of fall apart. And I step back, I go to this Tony Robbins event, and I'm like, my priorities, they're all effed up, right? Like, I don't know the path that I was on. It's not really what I want anymore. What do I want? I decided that I wanted to become a coach, and I decided that I was going to leave my job, and the rest of the pieces kind of fell in place later. But that was the beginning. It was a decision. It was a decision to no longer live the life that I had planned and to do something different, because I realized that as I started this spiritual awakening process, that what I had planned was not going to be fulfilling. Let me know in the comments, drop something in there. Maybe you're at that point in life right now, or maybe you felt that. And maybe you're not going to go the route I am, where we won't get to that, but you're going to take your own route, and astrology can help you with that. Okay, so make that decision. And then things start to progress, and the spiritual journey starts to deepen. I get into meditation very deeply. I start to do all this research online. I decide I'm going to, quote, build my faith. I was on a walk one day, and this voice, I was not tapped into my intuition very much at the time. It was just kind of like budding. And this voice inside of me said, build your faith from the ground up. And that's when me being raised Catholic, me being raised in a Christian environment, decided that it was time to start opening up to some of these other modalities. So if you're watching this and you're like, well, I'm a Christian, how does astrology fit into all of that? For me personally, it has helped me develop a more personal relationship with our Creator and with what I believe is the God source, the source energy that lives within me, a piece of that God, that Creator that is inside of me. That's what astrology has helped me to tap into. So I go with it, right? I go with it. And then a little bit later, later on in this year, I decide that, like, life, not only was I feeling kind of restless, or like things weren't fitting together the way I thought life was going to be, but I actually was starting to feel like suffocated by my belongings. So I started getting rid of all my belongings. I sold almost everything, and I decided that what I was going to do in order to be the best possible coach that I could be was travel alone for 3 months, backpacking, starting in India, spending about 2.5 weeks at an ashram in India, going to Thailand, spending some time with monks and meditation on all those beautiful sites, New Zealand, Australia, Bali, all of these spiritual places, to essentially, I didn't realize it at the time, but to find myself. And what I ended up doing on this journey of these 3 months and then beyond, and a little bit later, I ended up living in Costa Rica. And that was like the deepest part of this spiritual awakening. One of them was that I was peeling back. Like, this was the process of peeling off all the layers that were not me. And for me, that took a really long time, because I was sort of doing it on my own. I had coaches, I had, people who were leading and guiding me, but I didn't really have a person who was like, I've been down this road, let me take you by the hand, let me help you find yourself, right? So I was literally, and there was kind of some financial struggles by this point in the picture as well, because I left my job and I didn't yet have the tools. I didn't yet have the mindset developed. I didn't yet have some of the things in place to be able to thrive as an entrepreneur. And I don't tell you that to scare you if you're thinking about making that leap. I tell you that because there are things that we can do that we can help you through to thrive and not have to go through what I went through. Okay? And astrology is one of those tools. So thank you, universe. After begging and pleading on my hands and knees, I was in San Diego, and I was going through one of my Reiki trainings, and my teacher, she had actually introduced me to my birth chart for the first time, my Reiki teacher, Yolanda, who is also an Aquarius. I just love this woman. I'm so eternally grateful to her. And she actually, this was a time when it was very deep. I don't know if I want to call it depression, but it was very sad, right? It was very difficult because I was feeling like I don't know what direction to go. Everything that I'm trying, y'all who coach with me know that we eliminate the word try, but everything that I was trying wasn't working. And I felt like I had lost myself. I was in this in between phase. And if you ever go through a spiritual awakening, and maybe you're there now or have been there, there's this phase where you go through it and you're not yet who you're going to be, but you're no longer who you were. And I felt like it was this like middle ground of just really not being clear on my identity. And it was like I had completely needed to leave behind the old identity to allow myself to go into this cocoon and allow the new butterfly to take shape. And so that was this time when it was like I had nothing left. I was just like, like I said, crying, hands and knees, universe, please help me. And I started to get into astrology. I went for an astrology reading, but most of all, I started to study and practice and what I like to call integrate astrology into my life. I started to integrate the signatures, the vibrations, learning in depth, reflecting on my birth chart. And that's what I do, not just as an astrologer, but as a coach, as someone who truly believes that it's not just about learning things or reading things in your horoscope or whatever it is. It's truly about doing the things to integrate and to raise your vibration. Because here's the thing about astrology, what our chart shows us. Our chart shows us the highest potential, the highest possibility for this journey in this lifetime, in this soul, right? In this particular lifetime. It can also show us what a low vibration state can look like if we don't live in alignment, right? And so what I do is help people lift their vibration, raise their vibration using astrology, but also using other mindset, other tools, other energy shifting tools, all the things to truly align you, not just through knowledge or awareness or journaling or whatever, but through integration and shifting your vibration, right? So it is emotional, it is physical, it is mental, and it is through actions that you will take in your life that will be and feel more aligned. So this was the beginning of the shift for me. So I learned more about my Aquarius sun. I learned that it was not for me to live the path that was like the traditional, like everybody's doing it kind of a path. I learned about my moon sign. So your sun sign is your core vibration, the essence of you. Mine is Aquarius. I learned about my moon sign. I learned that for me, I was spot on when I was in that corporate world with the goals and with the achievement and all of those things, but I wasn't aligned with my purpose behind all of that. I was doing it for the external approval, and for Capricorn, for any of us, doing it for the external will never be fulfilling. That moon is our inner needs and our emotions. I needed to learn to fill up within and to set goals that lit me up inside, not for the validation, not for the attempt that if I do this or if I achieve this, people will love me, for me to just love life and love myself. I learned that. I learned about, man, y'all, I'd been through some stuff in relationships. I learned about those patterns. I learned about why that was. I learned about what I truly desired, wanted, and needed in relationships. It was life-changing, but life-saving. I often think about where my life would be had I not integrated and learned astrology in my life and been able to truly embrace that. And that is what I want for you, my dear sisters, as well. The other thing, so number one, why do I believe that every empath can benefit, or in my own words, like needs astrology in her life? Number one is because it helps you stop the pleasing. It helps you stop putting everyone else's expectations and thoughts of who you should be on the forefront, and it helps you get rid of all of that, helps you align with who you truly are. It's not about putting yourself in a box. There are multiple expressions, multiple ways that any signature in a chart can be expressed. We always have free will, right? And so it's not about like, well, I'm an Aquarius and this is what Aquarians do and what they look like and how they act and da-da-da. No, not at all. You have all this flexibility, but it kind of helps us to narrow in on what is not us. What is not us, right? Like the house and the white picket fence and the life that I was living when I got married at 23, one of the reasons I now know that didn't work is because that was not the life that was meant to be the Aquarian soul that I am. It just wasn't. It just wasn't meant to be my destiny. And it was difficult without the awareness because it felt like life was happening to me. Really, it was happening for me. The universe was working in my favor. We're going to talk about that secondly. The second thing, the second reason why I believe astrology is critical for empaths and can be a huge pivotal force in your life is because it explains the unexplainable, right? Like sometimes we're feeling things. Sometimes things happen and it feels like they're happening to us and you're like, well, why? Why am I feeling this way? There's no logical reason for this, or why did I react or respond that way? That is oftentimes what we call, well, I call it the universe at work, right? I call the universe working for us, but it's transits. And transits are the movements. We talked about your birth chart, right? Your astrology natal chart, the chart that is cast for the time of your birth, which is a signature that lives within you forever and ever and ever. That is your energetic signature, your soul's map that tells us about your life in the highest possible expression for you. Now, the transits are the movements within the sky currently, and the planets are interacting with one another, and the planets are interacting potentially even with your own birth chart. And so that is what creates sometimes these unexpected emotions or swings or big changes. And so it's really, really beautiful. Like I started to track the movements of the moon, and understanding the movements of the moon explained to me why my emotions were shifting so significantly when I first started to understand astrology. And the more that I developed an understanding of these transits, the more I was able to flow with the universe rather than working against it. Same thing goes for like moon cycles, right? So like if we're always in the grow, create, do phase, and we never take the steps back and never do the releasing practices, which are part of the full moon cycles. Full moons are about releasing, new moons are about manifesting, creating new things, planting new seeds, new intentions. If we don't balance that out, we're gonna burn ourselves out. We're gonna feel like we're constantly fighting against the universe because we've got to clear out old energy, old things we're holding in order to bring the new in. So that's why I've incorporated things like the moon parties into my coaching program, where once a month we clear out the clutter, working with the moon cycles, and then we allow ourselves to open up to allow new things to come in. So it's a full moon party. It's a beautiful community. If you've ever experienced one of these, it is just transformative for you, but also so connecting, so beautiful. It's like true in a true sense, that is true community, right? So those are a couple of reasons, two of the main reasons why I believe astrology is so important for empaths. Now, I want to get to a couple of your questions before we wrap up today. And the first one was from Jessica, and she was asking about a before and after moment, like feeling like she's in this place where there was this before and there's this after, and this sort of like shift in time, if you will. And I may not have summarized that perfectly, but I do know she asked me if that was relevant to what's going on right now. That is relevant to what we call the transits, the shifting in the sky. So right now, currently, as I record this video on May 3rd, we are in between two eclipses. Eclipse season, it's not a scary thing, right? But it is about aligning us with destiny. It is about karmic shifts. It is about chapters ending and a new chapter beginning. So we actually had a solar eclipse on Saturday, so just a few days ago, that was about the new beginning, the new chapter opening. And it's not just about that day, This is an energy that lasts about 6 months and potentially even longer. So this is like a new 6 month chapter that's beginning. And coming up next week, we are going to have a lunar eclipse, which is more of like a full moon eclipse, which is the releasing. So what we might be feeling right now is that we've kind of like sort of started something new, like things are starting to bud, but there's something we're still hanging on to. There's something that still needs to be released. It's like I was talking about earlier, we've got to clear out the energy in order to create and allow the new energy to come in. So the second moon that we're going to have in this series of eclipses will be about clearing out the energy. And we will have a moon party. We will have a moon party in my coaching group. So if you're like, this is resonating with you, you want to get in before that eclipse moon party, because this is a big, big, big time of year for all of us when it comes to alignment and aligning with destiny and understanding ourselves better, our karma better, what we're truly meant to do, purpose, all those sorts of things. Okay, the second question is how would I use my natal chart? So I talked about that sort of broadly today, but I want to be very specific. Self-awareness, right? Understanding your identity, as I like to say, reawakening your identity. So getting off the layers of the not you, the not self, the people pleasing, the, uncertain in who you might be, maybe not confident in who you are, getting all that off and stepping into this place of confidence in who you are, understanding your gifts. We can use it to understand your purpose. We can use it to understand relationships. We can use it to understand how you can manifest abundance. We can use it to understand health even. So every single, when you look at a chart, there's a whole pie and there's 12 pieces to this pie. That represents every single area of your life. And so we can look and find guidance for you in any single area of your life. So you would use this to understand yourself better, understand your life path better, to guide you, to learn to ask the right questions. But then, as I mentioned earlier, when we start to work with transits and things like that, and we layer that in, each one of those, each time a planet in your birth chart is transitioned or interacts with the current planets, something in you has the opportunity to be awakened. So it is a beautiful, beautiful process. And I talked about this earlier, but right, astrology is not about like looping us, just putting us into categories. Every single chart is unique and different. So if you just kind of read your horoscope online, right, you're reading a kind of by the book, approach, but you're not really looking at all the flavors and how they interact together. That's why it's really important not to just kind of go with what you read. That can be super helpful, but as I mentioned, it's the reflection, it's the integration, it's learning how the pieces all fit together in this beautiful tapestry of who you are in your essence. It's also really good. You can use astrology once again to help you find the highest vibration of you and what that feels like, what that looks like, actions to be taken from that place. And then specifically, Julie had asked, how can I use my chart to better understand myself? And I think this was, you were saying that you're new to this, which is super cool. And I've kind of hit on that, right? So there's 3 primary signatures: your sun, your moon, your rising sign. And then you're going to want to start to integrate other personal planets. That's a whole deep topic for another day, looking at your houses. But in short, right, it is about that integration. It's about that awareness. It's understanding who you are through the lens of your birth chart, right? It's loving who you are, and then it's taking actions from that space. That's what we do through the coaching programs, right? So if you're interested in that, if something in you today was sparked, maybe something in my story, something about what you want for your life and yourself, you want to understand yourself better, you want to not be just kind of flailing about by the emotional swings of life. Another thing I was going to share is, so the planets, the ancients called the planets grahas, and grahas actually meant to grab or to grasp. So we have a choice when it comes to the movements of the planets, or even the planets in our birth chart. We can allow them to grab us and take us for a ride when we don't really understand the movements of these energies and how to work with them, or we can use them to grasp and to understand more about our divine soul's journey, more about life, more about our spiritual purpose in this life and spirituality and what we're here for. It is a beautiful, beautiful process that I invite you, beautiful journey that I invite you to take for yourself. One of the things that I include in every single one of my personal coaching the packages is a one-on-one personalized astrology reading, and that is the perfect way to get started on this journey. And then we actually take a journey around your birth chart throughout the program. It is just transformative. It is transformative. So, beautiful ladies, I invite you, if this has sparked a chord in you, if it has lit a fire in you, if it resonates with you, the best step, the first step, is to book one of those abundant empath activation calls. So this is a call where we will get on one-on-one and we will talk about where you are now. We will talk about what is stopping you. And we will map out your abundant empath vision, your personalized vision. You will leave feeling it. You will leave seeing it. You will leave tasting it, knowing it's real, and knowing the first action steps to take to get there. That is what I would love to offer to you, for those women who are ready to make a shift, who are ready for abundance in every single area of your life. Maybe you want to manifest your soulmate. Maybe you're looking to find your life purpose and to truly step into that. Maybe you're looking to embody the goddess that you are and step into more confidence. Maybe it's just money and abundance in general and creating a luscious, beautiful, gorgeous life. I want all of that for you and so much more. And you don't have to settle for one of those. We do it all. We do it all in this program. So click on the link that I've posted, book that session. I cannot wait to meet with you. Sending you so much love. If you have more questions on astrology, post them in the comments. We'll probably do a follow-up on Thursday. Sending you all my love, wishing you love, abundance, blessings, and all the beautiful things. Bye, guys.